Did you ever see the James Franco interview? He was really high and they do that and he goes, nods into it.
No, I didn't, but I feel like I need to see that.
Yeah, we haven't got to that point yet, but cheers, by the way.
Yeah. Cheers.
Hello and welcome to the Critcast with the Critcast. I'm creative Crit William J. Wallace, joined today by Immy Howarth.
Hello, I'm Immy.
This is the show where we get to know the people behind Crit and Crit's Party Massacre a little bit better. This is our first in-person interview. I should not forget to use this.
I feel honoured. I feel very
Sorry,
honoured.
I couldn't hear the start of that. Yeah, we're actually enjoying the fruits of our support bubble with Immy coming to visit us. And yeah, if we didn't say it up front, you're primarily a costume designer, one of the costume designers at Party Massacre?
Yeah, I'm primarily costume based. A lot of the stuff I've been doing is with costume and alterations and making, and thank you very much.
Yeah, so first question, how you doing?
I'm okay, I think. I've been going a bit mad for the last 3 months, like everyone has.
Yeah, for posterity, this is over 3 to 4 months into lockdown.
The beginning of July 2020.
Starting to open pubs, we'll see how that goes.
Pubs literally
I'm quite happy
open
drinking
today.
at home. Oh, it was today, was it?
Yeah, literally today. So yeah, it's been lockdown, obviously, because of, I get to say, our industry. That's impressive.
Well, something we should say up front actually is you're more outside of helping on our project, and we'll talk about how you got involved with that as we go on, but you're more in TV sector, aren't you? Whereas I'm more a film guy.
Yeah, I am more in the TV, sort of TV and theatre. So I studied theatre, and then my first job out of uni, which was only actually last year, was TV. So
cool. Yeah, we could talk about your route there a little bit. So that was His Dark Materials, the TV series,
yes, that
right?
was the
season
second
2?
season. Yeah, so The Subtle Knife, which is great. I really enjoyed myself. Obviously, it was a bit stressful and whatever because I studied theatre, so I was like,
right.
And I kept having to find theatre comparisons of things,
sure,
so I understood what was going on. So I didn't know what a standby was. And then I was like, oh, is that kind of like a dress or something like that? And they were like, I have no idea. And I was like, I'm just going to say it is.
Yeah, because I mean, I've obviously, we should say this up front, I've met you because you're my girlfriend's sister.
Yes.
So I've known you.
We are practically related.
Practically. I've known you quite a long time now, pretty, I guess 8 years. So.
Yeah, I think you've known me since I was 14.
Which is a bit weird.
Which is disgusting.
But you would have got involved with the project, and obviously spent time around each other aside from that, but you would have got involved with the project around the start of the feature.
Yeah.
Was the first thing I asked you to do doing the jacket for Wolf?
I think
because you volunteered for the record. You're always eager to help out.
Oh yeah, I volunteered. I wasn't, brought in.
What I was trying to say was you're generally always a crafty person, making things.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I love making, altering, having a bit of a crazy time, doing all that. And I think part of the reason I did the jacket was I just done at uni. I'd done a tailoring. I don't know, thing. It wasn't really to do with uni, but I just did it at uni and I learned how to tailor.
Yeah.
So then you said something about the jacket, and I was like, oh, do you want me to have a go at it?
That's right, because I think I'm just remembering something we did before that, but to talk about the Wolf jacket, that was interesting, because Wolf is a man with about a 50-inch chest.
Yeah, he's huge.
And of course, for those that don't know, when we asked him about the role, he was still in New Zealand, where he lives now, running his gym. So it's not like we could do a fitting with him at all. We just had him on that day when he was coming over to do a convention with some of the other gladiators from the show. So we actually, I think we ended up making it a bit larger than it needed to be, and we basically put a huge panel in the back of it.
Yeah, so I basically just chopped it up the back and then put a big strip in, and I had to take that out of the trousers that went with it, because you had 2 pairs of trousers.
That's right.
And I cut up one pair to put in the jacket. And then we were also worried about the sleeves, because we didn't know if the sleeves were going to be too small.
Yeah, because massive arms. I think they probably are your classic 40-inch pythons,
they're
brother
huge.
or whatever. Yeah.
In
incredible shape that man's in for his age. He's in his 60s.
It's insane.
And if we haven't said it before, Wolf's a lovely man. I can't wait to actually show him somebody finished with the stuff.
He's an absolute angel. I never met him, but he looks lovely.
Yeah, so that was that. Which was interesting. But I was just remembering, I think actually earlier on, we knew, I mean, this was the first kind of project where we had to really think about production design in terms of a long thing that was very fantastical. So I think me, you and Faye, who amongst other things kind of the art directors, we went to Wetherspoons, where of course we'll never be going there.
Boycott spoons.
Yeah, boycott spoons. But we were basically brainstorming ideas for all of the main characters' everyday wear, their fantasy characters, how they'd interweave.
That was when we came up with that like long waistcoat idea for your fantasy character.
That's right, we came up with a lot of stuff that time. I don't know if we got into things like the sort of, I think Oscar calls them virginity gems, but the
we did.
The
we
buckles
did actually,
and all the color coding stuff that you have to think about when you're doing, a very bold and colourful film normally. That when you're doing like student films, you just don't have the time or resource. I mean, we didn't really have the resources. We just had the
We've got the imagination and the drive.
The drive to do it. So I've still got a lot of those drawings, and we came up with some great stuff back then. I think most of it we delivered on. It was just over the course of maybe 2 years.
Yeah, and then I can't remember where we came up with the idea for Josh's fantasy like kilt that also looks like you've wrapped a shirt around his waist. Was that then? Or?
Probably. I think it was one of the things we came up with early doors, because obviously, I guess a big point about the costuming for Crit, and sorry if I've cut off talking about your other stuff, we can get back into whenever. These are never structured. I was going to say I normally use the lags as an excuse for my bad interviewing, but I'm going to be exposed today.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But yeah, what was I about to say? So obviously the thing with the Crit costumes was the original short film, we'd made costumes on the day. You weren't there for that. That would have been Faye and India.
That was December 2016.
December 2016, that's right. And that was all stuff that was made up on the spot, so we were cutting things up and sticking them there. So we knew that people would really like that, but it obviously was something that was very scrappy, and we wanted to kind of keep that spirit but develop it. So we'd already had, for example, in the short film, Josh wears a kilt I had from, I think, an ex-girlfriend and bought it for me as a joke or something like that. But as you said, in the feature, he doesn't actually have a traditional kilt. It's something that's meant to be an analogue of the shirt he ties around his waist, like sort of Bill and Ted.
Because that's not actually how it does up. It's sewn in place to look like it's tied, but it actually does up on the side.
So that was a really ingenuitive thing we'd made specifically for the. Yeah, tell me a bit about that.
Oh, I mean, you sent me. We made it out of 3 shirts because obviously it's a kilt, so the back of it to be pleated.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how I did it. If I'm completely honest with you, I just sort of
fantastic.
Knackled it together, made it up as I went along. I pleated the back section and then sort of cut up the front, and I cut the sleeves off and sewed them back onto a different place,
right? So
that it looked like they were coming round to be tied at the front, but they actually
because it buttons or clips on the side. It has to tie up at the
buttons,
front.
It was the buttons from the front of the shirts that we put down the side so we could get into it. Because we thought. I remember we weren't sure about how to do it up because we thought if he does actually tie it up, it either might fall off, or it wouldn't be very good for like continuity.
That's it. It would change a lot throughout the day. And I mean that was a challenge anyway on set because we were still finishing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it just looked easier for him to do it up at the side.
I was watching some behind the scenes footage just the other day actually where we're discussing how Faye's hot gluing things on to people as they're working basically, and I was like, isn't that like a deathmatch wrestling spot that needs to happen or something? But yeah, no, the kilt sweater thing, shirt thing also came up. Another problem me and Faye had, which was we couldn't really decide for the bigger, better, boring, because again there was this real emphasis on making everything better than the original, which is something we've always had to do because we got lucky with a lot of stuff on that, but obviously we had a budget this time around and time to think about it. We weren't sure whether we wanted Viking pants or a kilt for him. And obviously having that, it kind of creates the shape where you can have this sort of kilt feel. I think we also thought about doing like baggy tartan punk kind of pants, but we kind of thought this was the best way to have it because it opens up the front, so you get to see the trousers going into those big New Rock boots, which look incredible. Thanks to Ralph Pimlet for lending us those. We had them for way too long. And I think we busted the zip at one point. I had to get them fixed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's happy as far as I know. But yeah, so we had that, and then we had these sort of tan, earthy Viking pants into the...
Yeah, they're cool.
And that came out real. So what were some of the other items that you worked on for the film?
I made the... I can't remember, the strawberry switchblade style dress.
Of course, yeah, which was something we really wanted. That was a lot of work as well.
Yeah, that was weird because it wasn't necessarily complicated. It just took a long time because it was basically the black dress was as it was.
That was the other thing, was hard finding that kind of style of dress because
it was really tricky, wasn't it?
I think we talked about the strawberry switchblade look for a long time. And I'm really pleased how it came out, actually.
I think it came out really well.
There's a lot of work putting all those layers of polka dot fabric into it.
Yeah, because
the actual polka dots on the dress were actually skull and crossbones.
Yeah, they were, which we didn't know.
We weren't sure about that at the start, but I think it feeds into the character as well. It's just another one of those happy accidents.
Yeah,
really.
that just took a while because it was like meters and meters and meters of polka dot fabric that had to be gathered and then sewn on. So
sort of ruffled, right?
Yeah. So it just took a long time.
The other thing as well was I know Faye was nervous, so she made me buy like the biggest dress.
And it was massive.
And it was way too big for her. I was like,
huge.
Faye, I don't think you need an extra large. She was like, oh, I might. Quite big in places. I was like, all right,
it
fine.
was huge, which is why, because I wasn't with you on that shoot, but she tried it on and it was too big. So Becky had to make straps for it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, which again looked really nice.
It was a joint effort.
On to that point, was there which shoots have you actually been on set for during the day? Or was it just been little things? I know you were there for the library.
Yeah, I was there for the library.
Obviously the school, because you've extraed a few times as well, we should have said.
Yeah, I was an extra in the school, which was really fun.
With you had like big bunches.
Yeah, big pigtails,
Quite
and I dyed my hair actually, so I'm pretty sure one of my pigtails is red and one of them is blue, because I like dyed my hair.
Sort of a Harley Quinn thing.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe they're both red, I can't remember.
By the way, I'm really glad this isn't actually on, because I'm definitely forgetting who to point it out, even though it's one or the other.
That's alright, we'll go with it.
I'm committing to this bit, it's funny to me. It's still real to me, damn it. It's a wrestling trick.
I don't get it, but that's funny. Yeah, no, I've been on for the library and the school, and I think actually that might be it, because your
career has really taken off simultaneously with the project, hasn't it? You've been doing...
I don't know.
Well, I mean, those are strong words.
Taken off.
But I mean, speaking as like a day player like me, you've had like 3 win placements on TV shows and stuff, which is obviously a lot more of a commitment than me really doing a music video or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it was the reason I haven't been able to go on like the longer shoots, like the green screen stuff. I was really sad.
We would have loved to have you. It would have been.
I was so sad I couldn't join you guys with that, because I think that was overlapped with like one of my final assessments at uni.
Yeah.
And it was super intense, and then
which is a problem we have a lot of the time, because there's a lot of students on the project. Yeah. So it's a miracle we get anybody together. Honestly, I mean, there has been days when this is something to point out to like how small our crew is. Like when one person doesn't show up, which is very rare because everyone is so committed, but it can really make something impossible. Yeah. Like the scene we did in the kitchen, which we have to go back to. Ben called in sick that day, and Jack was ill, and just losing those 2 people, it just meant like there was whole stuff like
absolute chaos.
We're stretched so thin on this that you couldn't do it even with planning. So
yeah, it's really annoying that I haven't been able to like be on more shoots.
Oh well, there's still plenty more shoots to come.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I've
we have missed some of the cool stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for all the stuff I have seen and been involved in.
Oh, we're very grateful. All your work on it has really elevated the production design, because the production design is really handled by like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
Everything, effects, makeup effects, hair and makeup, costuming, and we've obviously seen that with Faye, the amount, all night she put in before the green screen stuff. But for everybody, it's a lot. I mean, even when I handed off you mentioned the Kilburn, there's a bunch of stuff you did for that green screen stuff, and even that was a lot of stuff for you to do. And I think you ended up having to do it in like 2 weeks or less, didn't you? Because of your assessments and things.
Yeah, something like that.
So it was the medieval shirt that I wore was Venice.
Yes, I had to do. I think I made the kilt in like a day or something.
Crazy.
And then I did the shirt and the cape, which unfortunately didn't end up getting used.
Yeah, we'll use that for something else though. But yeah, we originally had Sylvetra, Kathy's D&D character, had like a one-shouldered cape, but
that was tricky because it was like a cape and it was one-shouldered, but it had a hood.
And we had so many ideas.
And I think we came up with an idea of how to make it work. But
it did. It
I don't
did
know
work.
what it looks like
I think we just preferred it off. I think. I mean.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time there was a lot of things we didn't quite pull off that we wanted with that costume because the schedule we were pulling.
Yeah.
But I'm really stoked on how all of it came out. Even my ridiculous, I don't know if you've seen it, but my cyber version of my outfit is so ridiculous. I got my hair tied back. I've got really pointy sideburns, and like I've got chains around my neck. My sleeves cut off on my shirt. I spray painted my boots silver.
That's incredible.
It was just absolutely bananas. But I think that. I should probably go on the record as saying like I'm quite happy to do stuff in this that makes me look absolutely terrible. I have no under illusions that my character looks cool there.
That's the most fun though, isn't
it? It also works for Tim because he's a humorous geek who always gets it wrong. Still a bit of a fool triumphant, but it's Brian's story at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes it's more fun to do things that are a bit ridiculous or a bit mad.
Well, we're all there having fun. I think if we all took it seriously, it just wouldn't work, because it'd be like, why don't we have enough crew?
Yeah, I mean, well, the whole project came out of just wanting to have fun and do something fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was that short that you made. So.
Still managed to, which is pretty spectacular. I did also mention the jacket, the Brian wears, the iconic jacket. You sewed that up, right?
Oh yeah.
So, because I remember Sam did the design, but did you actually put it all to fabric?
And then he did the design, and then I printed it and stitched it on.
Yeah.
Which.
So I love that. We were fighting over who gets to keep it when we're done.
I think I should get to keep it.
You probably should, to be fair.
No, I No, I really enjoyed it. That was fun.
That must have been one of the first things you made, surely.
I think that might be. I made that when I was in my second year.
Mm.
So I think possibly that was the first thing I made, actually, instead of Wolf's.
Yeah. Well, we shot. No, it might not have been, actually, because we shot Wolf before the school.
Okay,
and we needed to be ready for school. So yeah, around the same time.
Nice.
It could have been overlap.
I really enjoyed doing that. I was a bit stressed because I didn't know how I don't know what it is, how chic you wanted it to look, because I'd made it look like it's a patch that he's sewn on himself. It's a bit rough around the edges. But fortunately, that's how you wanted it to look.
It looked good, because obviously it has the Warrior rocker over the top, which is was it on the bottom? Over the top of the bottom, which is obviously a reference to the Warriors, which is one of my favourite films. But it was also to speak to his character. We knew he needed something that kind of, we didn't know if it'd be something that said kind of loser or something you know how in Scott Pilgrim he has the Zero shirt. He's always drinking Coke Zero because there's the 7 evil X's and he's the Zero because he's kind of a loser. So it was a bit like that, just again adding character depth in the production and costume design, which again, something you don't normally think about on a low budget thing. It's what you're wearing, that's cool, put this hoodie on because you're playing a drug dealer or something.
It's really nice, the detail that's been put
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And the design and everything else. But because obviously I've done the most sort of costume stuff, it's really, I think having more detail makes it more fun because you get to think more about the characters. And I should probably say, disclaimer, I do feel as though I don't know the story very well. Yeah,
I was going to maybe grill you on what you know about the story, because I think a lot of people have that.
Yeah, I don't know the story very well, but I know sort of the characters and who they are, and it's really nice that the detail comes through on their costumes.
I don't know how well this shitty microphone will hear us. Sorry, shitty WWE product will hear us over the wind. So, but yeah, no, to your point, I mean, it's been a really great experience to be able to have that wider collaboration. Obviously we're doing Crit on a shoestring for the scale of what we're trying to achieve, but we have made the effort to, even if we don't have a designated director of photography from me, we still sit and we discuss these things, how will it benefit the story. And I think that just comes from all of us working on our own projects, working on legitimate projects and taking in by osmosis a bit, but it's I'm still really content with it all. I think a lot of stuff we could have done a better job with, and I was speaking to Matt the other week about how a lot of that comes with how we have to do things a bit slower because we have the budget to smash it out. It means that we stop and think about things a little bit more sometimes.
Sometimes there is an argument. We did a bit on it at uni. I think I wrote a bit of an essay or something like that about how when you do have a smaller budget, arguably you end up doing things that are more creative and things that are more unique because you have to think out of the box because you don't have the money to think I want that exact thing. You have to make it up, and sometimes it means you have to be more creative. I
definitely think that's true for us. I think it's true for a lot of my favourite films as well. And I can think of a lot of moments, especially in the prop design where we're basically trying to craft things that look like Hollywood props. And I think one time I remember was me and Faye just trying to figure out how to make the hilt for her staff sword combo thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was literally 3 in the morning, and I was just hang on a minute, how many jam jar lids do you have? And we just raided every gold, spray painting jam jar lids, and we just finished everything, and it suddenly came together, But we were just, I know it sounds bad, but a lot of stuff we used was from the fancy dress shop and stuff, and it's just a matter of not just using that as a joke, I think, and just saying, oh, here's a shitty prop. We never want to do that with Grit. It was always it needs to be genuine. We're not taking the piss here. So it was how you disguise that and make it unique and special.
It's almost, I'm trying to word this in a really nice way because I mean it in a nice way. It's almost part of the production design that everything's a bit raggy.
Absolutely. We can't do everything.
And I really like that because it makes it a bit more realistic because they are kids. at school.
Yeah.
And like it's like when you don't feel connected to the character because you're like, well, that's definitely not what they would do. They wouldn't be able to afford the fanciest things, or you know, they wouldn't look that perfect or wear something that is that perfect. So the fact that everything's a bit raggy and a bit sort of organic means that you sort of believe the characters a bit more because you're like, that's something I could do.
Yeah.
And
I think it's interesting because it's kind of a weird meta thing, but it definitely does feed into what we're going for. I mean, partly it's like
a subconscious.
Yeah, it's partly that like kind of Be Kind Rewind thing where it's like, here's us trying to tribute a bigger thing, but it's also definitely conjures up that VHS home movie vibe of like making your own movie in the garden or something, which is definitely the heart of the project, I think. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about how it makes the characters more believable. I think it's true. I like that none of Josh's clothes fit that well.
Yeah.
Josh has literally had to, like, not so long ago, you had to sew Josh's trousers back up because they'd fallen apart.
Yeah.
Like, I was
just like
Josh just turned up to set with a huge hole in his thigh. And we're like,
it's
well,
just like,
continuity very late.
Can you fix it? And I'm like, I suppose I can. Like, I'm gonna have to now, I know. But yeah, no, that was.
I think Matt's sneakers have a massive hole in them as well, but I like it. It's definitely us, you know. It's very ragged.
Hot glue is your friend.
The oversized jacket we rationalised because we had this idea. I think Brian more than anyone, we thought about little character quirks, and we thought that maybe it had been an older brother's jacket. Yeah. We like the idea that maybe he'd gone to the army or something and left that with him to be like, you're the man of the house sort of thing. I don't know if Brian's dad is still around. It might not be. That could also be part of that, you know. Yeah, we like thinking about these things. Cool. What else can we talk about? Well, what you got coming up? I mean, we're starting to see a bit of work coming in for us freelancers, thank the Lord. It's been a few months.
Thank you.
What's on the horizon for you, apart from hopefully coming back on set one day?
Yeah, well, there's nothing specific.
Don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, but there's a couple of opportunities that I've sort of been made aware of. Because I'm on the Screen Skills TV trainee finder, which basically means like I'm on their scheme, and their like big TV shows will say we need a trainee, and then Screen Skills will find the trainee.
Trainee programs are fantastic, and I wish I'd known about them when I started my career, because I had to go a bit of a roundabout route. But if anyone's watching this because you're interested in getting into the industry,
Screen Skills, Screen Alliance Wales. There's one in Scotland. I don't know what it's called, but you know,
any department you're as well, just search that department and trainee program, because you will find they're competitive, but they will do really well for you. I mean, I know trainees who've had in the camera department who've worked on like Marvel movies and stuff, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah, because the Screen Skills, they have a film scheme and a TV scheme, and I chose the TV one because I had just done a job in TV.
Yeah.
But they do a film one.
Are you interested in doing film work at all, or are you kind of...
I think I am, yeah. I think it's...
Because I don't know how easy it is for people to go back and forth. I know for me, like, I don't really know that I could start in TV now. It's similar, but it's very different.
I think a lot of people set themselves up and kind of just do one or the other.
I think a big part of it is the schedules, isn't
it? Yeah, you can go like from one to another. So when I was on His Dark Materials, there was people who were like, "Oh, I've worked on this film, and now I'm working on this TV show," and so I think you can do a bit back and forth. I think part of the reason I chose the TV scheme was because normally you're only on it for a year. Mine's been extended because of coronavirus, but normally it's only a year. And I don't know how true this is, obviously, because I'm not in the film industry, but like normally there's more regular opportunities in TV if you're starting out, but in film sometimes
there's a bit more luck, I think, in film.
Possibly. So I don't know.
Which I think is why the day rates are more for film, because it's not like guaranteed months of work for a lot of people.
But yeah, no, I'd definitely be interested in film. Definitely. I think I really like the idea of. I mean, I know you get this if you do a whole TV series. Yeah. But you get like I'm working on a whole project, and that's really satisfying. Sometimes if you only work on, so like if we're doing dailies on a TV show, you work on like 5 minutes of an episode, and that's it, and like that's fine, like it's great, it's still a great experience. But if you work on a whole thing, you get like a really good sense of achievement.
That's a really good point, actually. I think that's a part of Crit as well, because I started doing features, which is quite unusual. But most people who become successful in camera, which is what I do when I'm not doing Crit, is commercials is what I needed, because they pay the best. But for me, that experience of, you know, meeting a group of people and getting to know them over 6 weeks, just busting your ass. 6 weeks probably minimum for a lot of films, you know. I think that's really special, and obviously Crit's been like a super extended version of that with different groups of people, which has been awesome. But generally speaking, that's something that's great about long form, I think, compared to, like, say,
You
doing
get
dailies.
to-
Where when I first started doing dailies, I'd feel like I was just finding my feet at the end of the day, and then I'm getting paid and not doing it anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is kind of, I find it very hard, especially, you know, prepping kit and stuff on the fly.
It can be a bit like that. I think if you're, like, I know I am. If I'm the type of person where it takes me a while to feel really like comfortable in a situation or in a team,
Yeah,
and like, so I was on his lab materials for 6 months,
right.
and it like, not for any particular reason, just because I'm not very confident in sort of becoming part of a team of people that I literally don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it took me a couple of months to really feel like, oh, like, you know, I work here, I
Settled
belong
and-
here, I'm helping, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And so I think if you work on, you know, if you do bits here and there, it's great, it's still a great experience, but maybe it sort of doesn't
It's definitely
help.
something valuable to it. I was always told, when you do this kind of projects, you start off loving everybody, then you hate everybody, and then by the end you love them.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty true. We should probably wrap this up pretty soon, but I just thought maybe worth asking if you had any other memories from the school shoot, because we haven't talked about that as much as maybe the original quick shoot or anything else. So, how was it? It was pretty hectic day.
It was really fun.
We were trying to shoot
actually.
12 pages that day, I think.
Yeah, it was mad. I remember that. It was really fun actually, and we did quite a lot of like improv.
Oh
Which
yeah,
was
yeah.
weird. Like for the B-roll, there was this
What
bit.
was it? Massive, big.
Yeah, there was
group
this
scenes.
bit that I did, like, I was outside and like I was smoking a
Oh
cigarette,
yeah.
and then like one of the teachers came and like took it off me, and then I like trudged off, and then he
And he
started
left.
smoking it, and like that's quite funny, and that
Freddie Tyson Brown playing the headmaster. That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean that's a good example of the crit spirit, because we knew we had so much to do, and obviously when you're shooting something on the time schedules, the worries you're not going to get coverage or the little cutaways and stuff. So we had 2 cameras that day. I think Cameron Dupuy had brought his. So I said, just go off and get B-roll, you know, and stuff like that.
it was
There's
really
no way
fun.
that's not getting used, you know. It's great. We did
Yeah.
some stuff with Henry like that as well.
And then
so.
there was that bit in the corridor, and like, because like I'm not an actor by any means, like any shape or form.
That's a really good point, because you almost
But it
had a
was
bigger
really
role in the
fun.
film.
I almost did. I just
'Cause you-
couldn't. It didn't work with me being at uni.
Yeah, so
unfortunately.
in the just before the argument, Marcus and Brian, I feel like we're talking about the plot so much we don't see anything, but
They'll know what it means in the end.
one day this would be relevant for somebody. Yeah, so there's you and I think it was Laura, sort of
Yeah, she was
laughing
taller than me,
behind-
that's what I remember. I don't know if that's bad, but
you're like laughing behind Josh's back and just rubbing insult to injury on the worst day of his
Yeah.
life, which is how Crit starts.
sorry.
But we did have it originally that you were going to be the love interest, which ended up being Holly Spiller, who was wonderful, so I'm glad she came aboard. But we didn't want to get rid of you, but you just weren't available when we came to
Yeah.
doing the Zen bits. It is only something that's kind of hinted at in the script anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny that
That was fun. I mean, I wish
You
I could
didn't
have
get to be dressed
been
up as an
involved
elf.
a bit more. I definitely would have wanted to be dressed up as an elf. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I'm definitely not an actor, but like it's just been really fun that like everyone does sort of do a bit here and do a bit there, and like
Yeah.
I've made some costumes, I've done a bit as an extra, and obviously like you're writing, directing
doing
it,
way too
and
many
you're
things.
like a main character, so
Yeah.
which is great. By the
I don't
way.
know, I mean, yeah, that school shoot I think definitely is a good example of everybody being forced to act whether they like it or not. I mean, trying to make a lot of my friends, and
There's
then
something
also
quite fun
people
about
getting to
that.
shoot their own stuff as well, which we'd like to do. Sometimes crit shoot, like me and Matt were talking about, it's just too stressful to have everybody do their own things, but we're always encouraging it when and where it's possible, and I think that's been pretty cool. Yeah, I guess we could probably wrap it up there, Emmy, but it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, lovely speaking to you too.
Nice fond memories, nice to see someone outside of my house for a change. Stay safe out there and hope the work comes in.
Yes, thank you very much, you too.
And I'll see you next time back in Wimborne.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Oh, shit.